Let's talk about some more helpful tools, and they revolve around momentum. Momentum helps overcome one of our biggest challenges in technical analysis, and that big challenge is detecting when a trend is about to end, or is it a minor pullback? Is the trend ending, or is it really just kind of a minor pullback or minor temporary change and the trend's going to continue? Momentum tools are terrific at overcoming that challenge. So let's talk a little bit about the basic concepts of momentum, and then we're going to share some specific tools that help you later in this section as far as around momentum. So what momentum is at its basic level is it really looks at the speed of a price change. So it's actually relatively easy to calculate. It's all going to be done for you by your platform. But if you think about it, you're looking at the speed of how fast or slow our price is changing. So it looks at basically the today's price, what you could pay today for a security, and what was that price X number of days ago, or periods ago, hours ago, minutes ago, whatever your number of periods are. You're going to compare those two. And it's going to really look at a rate of change, or a rate of change method, that applies some, simple mathematics and percentages around that. In fact, when you look at momentum on your platform, it might not even call it momentum, it might call it ROC, or rate of change. So for example, if prices are rising fast, the momentum number that you can use to kind of use as an indicator is going to keep getting bigger. And on the chart, a momentum chart, and we'll see some examples of that in a moment, or later in this section, on the chart, it's going to show a rising line, right? So if you see a rising line, that shows prices are rising fast. If the prices are rising, but they're not rising so fast, and the line will start to flatten out, right? So you're going to see that line not be as steep. It's going to start to flatten out as prices maybe are rising, but they're not rising that fast. So momentum is all about the change in price level rather than the level itself. So it's not about the actual specific price so much. What you're really measuring is that change in that speed of that price level. So you might say, well, that's great, but we want more. We want even more. And it does quite a bit more. It will measure the amount of that acceleration of that price change, or deacceleration of that price range, depending which way you're looking at it. And then also the amount of that rate of change. Momentum indicators also will eliminate as much noise as possible by looking at those changes. And you can kind of see momentum in the context of an overall price range, that highs and lows, what's momentum doing, what's happening, if our price is accelerating, all that kind of stuff. And it can really give you a good indication of whether a security might be overbought or oversold situations. Overbought where it's pretty much everybody who's going to buy it at that certain price level has. You might be ripe for a time for it to kind of go backwards or go on a downtrend, or vice versa, where it's oversold, where it's just price has been really pushed to the bottom, maybe real quickly pushed to the bottom, and it's really ripe for a turnaround, and it might be a good buying opportunity for you. So it's an indicator that can really help with that. Is a momentum indicators that we have here can be used really well for that. And a lot of people like to use momentum really more so as a confirming indicator. I like that idea too. So if you're evaluating, it helps you to evaluate the strength of a trend that maybe another indicator is saying there's a trend. So your primary indicator is saying there is a trend, whether it's up or down, there is a trend. And maybe it's something like the confirming a moving crossover, or a price, moving average crossover, whether it's price or the two crossovers crossing over each other. You could say, I think there's a trend here. I'm seeing a price crossover. I want to confirm that with this momentum, with a momentum indicator, to see if this is also saying that we might have, a situation for a good opportunity to buy or sell by looking at that price change, acceleration and deacceleration. So that's kind of momentum in a, kind of the basic math concept and what it does, measuring that rate of change. And then building from that basic core foundation of the momentum calculations, there are some powerful tools that have been built on top of that you're going to see in any of these, platforms as far as for trading. And what you really are going to use is these types of indicators. And the two really that stand out are the RSI, or relative strength indicator, and the stochastic oscillator too, which sounds like a fun name, doesn't it? So those lessons are coming up. But those are the key things that build on top of the idea of using momentum to analyze from a technical analysis standpoint, securities.